Welcome back to the Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. It's your business to be concerned about what happens out there in government. And on Friday, here it is Monday, but on Friday, John Boehner resigned, and we hadn't had a chance to talk about it. But I certainly wanted to talk to someone who I think is knowledgeable about John Boehner and certainly knowledgeable about what, the dynamics that are going on there in Washington. Boehner shocked everyone, I think, with his resignation announcement. Congressman Steve Stockman served in the Congress under Boehner's leadership, was critical of Boehner's leadership, and delighted to have him on the program. Steve, good to talk to you, buddy.
Well, great. We good talking to you, too. We were actually, when I first got in office, a small group of us tried to oust Boehner. Really, in reality, not be so much as his personality, so much as his belief in that the only way to operate is to appease Obama.
No question about it.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm glad he's leaving. It's a long time coming.
Yeah, and I think the American people have deserved this, frankly, since 2011, when that Congress got elected in 2011. I think part of the mandate that won the House back was getting rid of people like Boehner. I think that was part of the mandate, don't you?
I agree. Well, another thing, too, people probably don't know this, but he lied to the conference. And the conference I referenced is a Republican conference where we meet once a week. And when he first ran, he said, look, guys, I'm only going to do it for like 2 terms, and then I'm out of here. And, of course, he broke that pledge. And that's kind of the going on with him, where he makes a pledge and then breaks it. And that's not something that the conservatives ever stood for, is people that break pledges.
Right. Read my lips, no new taxes.
By the way, I'm gonna break news here for you. And I know it may break soon, but I predict Jeb Henslender may run for Speaker, and he's a Texas congressman from Dallas area who's an excellent choice. But my biggest fear is that Kevin McCarthy gets in there, who's basically a twin to Boehner.
Twiddle-dee and twiddle-dum if McCarthy gets in there. Yeah, and Jeb, by the way.
I hope your listeners will get on the websites and push Jeb over, frankly, over McCarthy.
Contact your congressman. Jeb, by the way, is a young conservative Texas alumni like you and I.
Yes, he's a fellow member, such as you are and I was.
Yep.
Yes, true. And worked for Phil Graham.
Yeah, a good YCTer. I'd love to see him as Speaker of the House. What position is he in? I know he's in leadership. What's his position?
He is the chairman of the Financial Services, which is extremely powerful. The only thing I have against him is I'll ask him a question, and he'll take 15 minutes to answer it. I'm more, you get him on your talk show, you might as well just ask a question and go to the bathroom and come back.
Okay, so there's been many coup attempts against Boehner. There was one, in fact, right now in the works that may have been getting momentum, where another member is outwardly saying, I'm coming after you.
Mark Meadows.
Yeah. And
Mark is a tremendous guy. In fact, it was funny. We were on the same committee, and we'd go to events, and the two of us, excluding Democrats, would show up at these events over human rights, which really shows you the without swearing too much, the BS that the Democrat Party puts forth, that they care about human rights. They never showed up at these human rights events. They didn't care.
Yeah.
So, everything from women getting forced abortions in China to, treatment of Ukrainians, they're being tortured, Christians being chopped, their heads off, being chopped off by ISIS. None of those guys ever showed up for that stuff.
Yep. Yeah, it's exactly true. Really, really fell upon deaf ears. But talk a little bit about, first of all, why do you think Boehner's decided to walk away now?
Well, he got to see the Pope. He's got the Chinese leader here. And the calling of the chair, which Mark did, which was suggested to us early on, he realized now the numbers have been gaining on him, in particular on the issue of Planned Parenthood. He's waffled on that, and I think, quite frankly, I think God's going to judge this nation, not just on what do we do with the poor, but what we did in essence, which hasn't been done since the Nazi regime, of selling baby parts. That's just really outrageous.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When you think about it. And the descriptions for Planned Parenthood to try to duck and say, no, we didn't say that. It's on tape.
Yeah.
How can you deny that? They go, well, you edited it. No, it doesn't matter what you edit. You said it. You know, conservatives say one little thing, and it's all over, and they attack. You have our poor friend, the surgeon, who's up there saying, you know, he doesn't believe in Sharia law, and you would think he said, I sell baby parts. Oh, wait a minute, that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, and by the way, if you look at Speaker Boehner's site, it looks like Pope Central. It's really quite strange to look at. The entire site, all of a sudden, he even has a navigation, you know, bar. Part of his navigation bar includes papal visit, you know, is on his navigation bar. It's kind of bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to go out doing something profound. I believe he's Catholic, in fact. I'm not sure, but he got a private moment with the paint. I mean, he's at his pinnacle. He went way beyond. He you know, Johnny Carson talked about leaving the stage before it was an embarrassment to leave the stage, and Boehner did not get that memo. You know?
Yeah, I agree with that. So let me go across a few names with you. You've already mentioned two of them. One that I thought would be a top potential has already said he's not going to run, which is Paul Ryan. Did that surprise you?
Yeah, I mean, he's in a situation where he'd be put into as leadership, you'd be put in situations that would demise any further chances of him running for president. So I think he has higher aspirations than speaker, and putting him in that situation, you know, once you're speaker, the chances you running for president is actually pretty slim.
Yeah,
unless two people die instantaneously, then you become president.
Yeah, right, and that's kind of you really don't want to see that happen, and you certainly don't want to.
No, but I'm saying that's the only way.
Yeah,
I mean, it ruins your future.
Tom Price, he used to be the chairman of the House Republican Conference. There's rumor that he might run.
Georgia.
Yeah,
he's. I think he's a doctor. He's a nice guy. He doesn't have the organizational skills to pull it off, I don't think.
Okay. Are there others out there that you see as possible?
Well, McCarthy's going full bore, and he is going to win it unless everybody rallies around Jeb. And I don't know if Jeb's going to do it, but yeah, I mean, Mark can't do it because Mark's the one that pulled the trigger.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Although he sure sounds like he's positioning himself to try to do it. He talked about how the speaker served honorably.
And I'm sure Louis Gohmert will try.
Yeah,
but you got to have a consensus candidate, and Jeb, not Bush, by the way, for your listeners. There's a different Jeb. Henslinger has the respect of both sides of the aisle, and although there may be times you get ticked off at him, I still think overall. Like he's standing alone against stopping the Import-Export Bank.
Right.
Which, by the way, is the reason why the Chamber of Commerce will oppose his election.
Right. Yeah, no question about it.
Which is the reason we should support him, by the way, for that very reason. So the Chamber has been horrible. They've backed every moderate Senate candidate and trashed all the conservatives. Was deeply involved in that Mississippi election, which was stolen. I mean, there's a lot of if you belong to the chamber, you ought to be raising Cain because this is just such a horrible organization. They go after conservative Republicans who are defending their principles of free markets, and then turn around and.
Yeah, I mean, the chamber has become just an institution to preserve crony capitalism. If you like, business organizations, consider NFIB, the National Federation of Independent Businesses. Those guys are great folks. I love what they do. Jeb was House Republican Conference chair, making him number 4 a few years ago, and he left that position. Why did he leave?
Because he became head of financial services, which is since Frank Dodd has become a monster gorilla that needs to be controlled and is destroying American jobs, and particularly medium-sized banks. Almost 2/3 of the medium-sized banks in the United States have been closed.
No, I know.
Due to unnecessary regulations and destroyed. People don't realize in the country, you have a home bank. You go there for a mortgage. You go there for your farm, and the banker. And he says, look, Bob, you had a rough time, but I'm going to approve the loan because I know you're good for it. Now you go to Chase and they say, "Who are you? What do you do?" Not Chase, but any big bank. And really, quite frankly, the Frank Dodd bill is the one that killed many small community banks and globalized the United States in terms of banking.
Yeah, and really obliterated relationship banking, which is the backbone of our economy.
Which, by the way, I know you know a lot about financial services, and I know you speak to it with truth. And the fact is, it has been a disaster.
Yeah, it's been ridiculous. Well, listen, Congressman, as always, glad to have you on the program. Steve Stockman served under Boehner. I know he's glad to see him go. I'm glad to see him go. I've been beating this drum loudly for literally years. He should have been gone. First of all, he should have never really been leader back in 2010. But when the House was, one back, I think Mike Pence should have been elected Speaker of the House in 2011, don't you?
Yes.
He would have been a great speaker.
I'm going to head out.
All right.
And, Kevin, you're awesome, and God bless you, buddy. We appreciate you.
All right. Thank you. Same to you. All right. When we come back, much more for you. I do want to remind you the show continues 24/7 at priceofbusiness.com. And the best content here shows up over there at usdatareview.com. While there, like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter. More after this on The Price of Business.